Okay, guys, so I'm just going to go through. So this is our special topic for 2021 is hybrid vehicles. Okay, so what I'm going to go through in this video is what is a hybrid vehicle. So a hybrid vehicle is so again, when you talk about hybrid, it's usually a cross of um, two different aspects amalgamated together. So a hybrid vehicle is a mixture of electric and petrol. Okay, and what happens is it switches between the two to make it as efficient as possible. The main part we focus on throughout hybrids is how the electric motor is run and how it's charged and things like that. The petrol engine is quite not irrelevant, but you don't need to know anything really about the petrol engine, just that it will how it charges the battery and when. Okay. So you can see there, this is the different parts we have. So you have a power electronics controller. What that does is it controls the flow of power to the motor. Again, the motor does not, there is no gearbox in in an electric car there's no gearbox. In a hybrid there will be, but there's no gearbox off the motor. What happens with the motor is it all to speed up, there's more power being sent to the motor. That's how it runs. There's no gears, there's no transmission or anything like that in an electric car. But for the motors in this, it doesn't go through a transmission, or it doesn't go through a gearbox. It goes the petrol engine will, because it's a consistent. It doesn't have it as the more power flows to the motor, the electric motor, the more power output. The faster it goes, the more power can output. With a petrol, that won't work because it'll just die. It'll just conk out. Okay, DC converter. That's essentially a step down transformer. So you have over here with you have your traction battery that has very high voltage. Because it can store more of it. And what happens is the DC converter reduces that to run the traction motor. Okay, so if the traction went straight onto the motor, it's too much. Okay, it'll blow all. Well, it'll blow the motor. DC thermal cool system. That's okay. The electric generator. That's what electric generator is for. Is to create. It's to charge the traction battery. It's to charge the traction battery off when the engine's running and when the car's braking. And then the traction battery. That's your main battery for the driving of the car. The auxiliary battery, very small. That's just for running onboard components, such as your, if you have like the radio, things like that. So I have the definitions there. So yeah, electric generator, electric traction motor. So again, traction's to do with grip on the ground. That's what runs the motor. The traction motor, runs the drives the vehicle. Traction battery, same thing, drives the traction motor. Okay. There's the parts, and then there's a picture there of each of them broken down, and that's just your normal. That's your hybrid. Okay. Then you're sort of a hybrid would be sort of in the mid. We'll talk about hybrids and then going even more away from the petrol engine. You have a plug-in hybrid. So with this hybrid, with a hybrid vehicle like the Toyota Prius, it's never charged or it's never plugged into a socket. The engine is charging it, braking is charging it, things like that. With your plug-in hybrid, there's less reliance on the engine. Okay, there's less reliance on the engine, but you do have it has to be plugged in every so often. Okay, so there's different other components there. Charge port, that's fairly self-explanatory. That's where you plug it in. You have your onboard charger. That is because from the charging port, the onboard charger, what you have, a motor runs on DC. Coming from the socket is AC. They aren't the same. What your onboard charger does is it converts AC to DC to charge your traction battery. Okay, so that's your onboard charger. Is there anything else? Your power electronics controller, same thing, controls the flow of electricity. Essentially, it acts as an accelerator. Another thing, your onboard charger it tells you when the vehicle is charged and gives you an update on the condition of the battery. So onboard charging port, yeah, I've all those mentioned. And then the last one I'm just going to look at on this topic, I don't want to go too long with this, is mild hybrids. And a mild hybrid is actually, so you have in the middle, we have your hybrid vehicle, then sort of pushing away from the engine, you're talking about plug-in hybrids, and then the other side of the spectrum, you're talking a mild hybrid, which has more reliance on the engine because it has a smaller battery. So it's a smaller battery, so it's able to do less with the electric motor. Okay, so it has more reliance. So a mild hybrid. So you have petrol. You have your petrol engine, Ford Fiesta, zero hybrid and zero electronic, just the car battery. Then you have mild hybrid, again small battery, does run an electric motor but has great reliance on the petrol engine. Hybrid is sort of split, like, so again once it reaches 30 kilometers an hour it kicks into petrol. Once it goes below it, when you're it's, so again you have an electric motor there, bigger battery, and then you go plug-in hybrid. So then the plug-in hybrid, much less reliance on the petrol engine, and then you go full electric after that. That's your sort of your stages from your engine to fully electric. Is the hybrid is just stuck in the middle. Okay, and so that's it, just guys, for the types of hybrids.